Atik is here, and if you are in a company where you want growth, but you don't want too much chaos, then this is the exact man we need to be listening to, because Cem Atik steps into D2C brands stuck between traction and chaos, taking equity and full control of marketing to rebuild growth from the inside. So we're here on the Marketer of the Day podcast with Robert Plank, brought to you by DFY Podcast. We handle the podcast backend editing, publishing, and promotion, so you can focus on the interview, but we're here to talk about the man, the myth, the legend, the master on how to scale these companies, because most e-commerce brands scale revenue, but they scale profits. So it's an amazing world, and he's figured out many things. So Mr. Cem Atik, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for being able to be here, Robert.
I'm happy to have you here. And when people talk about the like these huge companies they build and they grow and they exit, it's just an amazing world to hear about, right? It's like watching professional sports players like do their amazing thing. But you tell me, what are you all about and how are you different?
Sure. Yeah. Let me begin on the beginning. So I'm just in the ecom space for like 13 years right now. And something that I really figured out really quick is that you could be the best marketer that is existing. You could be the best email, WhatsApp, Google Ads, or Meta Ads guy. The only thing that will always win is a good team that is working proactive together. So even if we are just scaled, a lot of businesses, or better to say, we supported a lot of businesses to scale. That's always a combination about several people. Yeah, no one. I mean, there was no brand where I could really say like, hey, I scaled this brand from X amount to Y amount, by myself. To be completely honest, but yeah, I think the highest and the best skill here is for sure to build great teams. And what we do over the last years was pretty simple. We started to realize more and more bottlenecks and gaps that pretty much every second or third founder has, which I was talking with, because I just do a lot of audits, always on Google and also on growth overall. And what I always see are similar problems. And I made a plan with my co-founder Tobias, and say like, hey buddy, look here, why were I just doing this only as a service? We could also invest in brands, or even we could go in, fix these problems, and get also a share from the exit. And that's pretty much what we do. We fix brands, like real estate, you could say, you know for sure, fix and flip, and we do exactly the same on ecom.
Ooh, that's
a bit
fascinating.
different for sure.
Yeah, but it's similar principles, but it's more of the abstract business. You're not
Correct.
replacing the toilet, you're not knocking down a wall, you're fixing up the foundations, the numbers, the people. So this is great to hear about so far. So you're saying that it's all about the team, because the problems can come and go, and everyone needs to work together, and the team to be working on those gaps and bottlenecks. And so when you jump into some of these companies to grow them, to fix them up, do you see any commonalities? Like, are there similar bottlenecks to be fixed, or is it just a case by case basis?
I mean, it's pretty much really similar. So there is like 3-4 points which are always just really common that you see in every ecom brand. First of all, not enough control about your unit economics. So many times I'm just talking with founders, they doing 50, 100 million already, and they're saying like, hey guys, what is your current CAC over the last 12 months? And like, oh, let me check. And here you are losing. If you are a founder and you are actively in the operations in your business, and you don't know how you pay each customer, that's a huge red flag. So that means that you are not aware of what exactly you pay for getting new customers on board. So that's the first thing. The next thing is what I pretty much see always is that that they don't use any third-party tracking attribution, right? I mean, we are just talking about like brands which doing 7 figures or even 8 figures, and they maybe heard about Triple Whale, or they maybe hear about High-Rise and maybe use it, but it never worked for them because no one just really takes the time and set this up. They don't know what is coming in and what is going out. How much you pay for your fulfillment? I don't know. Let me check. how much taxes you pay. I don't know, let me check. And these are pretty common actually, especially in Europe. And you see this pretty much on every second or every third person or business you call with. Um, the only thing that you just can do against that is, especially on cases when we are just joining in, we do a due diligence on the finance side and also on the marketing side. Otherwise, if you just believe on the things that people tell you in calls and say like, hey, our number is looking that great and our POAS is on this level, I never believed it so far. And to be honest, I never take it serious, because after you see all the numbers and crunch them down, the numbers are speaking a total different language. I mean, every case.
So I'm getting this feeling that, remember when you were in school and there was always kids that they could run faster than you, or they could maybe like
Yeah.
lift heavier weights than you. I have that feeling that perhaps there are business owners that have a lot to work on, right? A lot to do, especially in terms of the simplicity and even knowing these numbers to begin with, but then having it on like having the metrics on a dashboard so they can look at this every day, so it becomes like a ritual for them and something they can like wake up with, look at every day. So that way it's just so embedded in their brain. Like they know what these numbers are. They know if they're going up or going down, or if they're good or if they're bad. And so if someone says, oh my gosh, I'm so out of shape, so to speak, like, is that a matter of like replacing the people, or like doing a lot of work? Like if someone says, oh my gosh, like I have to get all these numbers. I know I need to get there, right, in order to be like exit ready and in order
Yeah.
to like grow the business. But like it just seems like a huge mountain of work to get there, where it's simple and the data is real time and they can know these simple numbers. So how do they get there?
So, I mean, it's for sure a pretty big chunk of work, but you do it once and then you only need to update it frequently. So that means that you are just checking out your costs, yeah, and yeah, just be sure that all costs are in the software that you are using. We are using different tools for keeping our business economics accurate, yeah, and you just basically give the tool all the access to the and connect them to every platform where you're just getting revenue over, right? And also to all the platforms you are doing marketing with or have any codes, yeah. And then all the custom calls like product codes and other stuff, you just need to handle out manually, or at least a bit manually, yeah. In the beginning, especially when there is no setup for that, it takes a bit of time. Definitely, it takes a couple of weeks until you're done. But I mean, it's so crucial to have control about your numbers, because every decision that you do is based on numbers. Let us say you are an e-commerce brand, you're selling supplements. Your customer cost of customer acquisition cost is $30 as example, right? So, and your average order value is 60, yeah. And but you're selling a subscription model, so in usual in standard, a standard customer is keeping at least like 4 months your subscription, right? So then you know what your CLV is, you know what your customer acquisition cost is, yeah. And then you can say, okay, I can push much more money in getting new customers on board, because my overall CLV each customer is big enough for be able to handle that, right? So, but if you don't have these numbers, if you don't know how the cohorts are, if you don't know that customers are usually growing by 200% within the next 12 months, you are just in a black box, and a day will come where it's even too late, because then you will realize that you are just unprofitable or really less profitable, and then you just need to fix that first. So it's tough to set this up, but it's crucial, because the only thing that can always keep you out of trouble is having control about your numbers. Even if your business is running bad, but you are profitable, yeah, that doesn't mean that you are just a bad business. But let us say we order always products, yeah, we just always order products in the same amount, but our revenues are crushing, yeah, and you
Yeah.
see that, but you think like, okay, this is maybe yeah, something seasonal as example, but you don't have any data which is basically telling you the truth about that, if it's seasonal or not, yeah. What you do is that you just order the same amount of products always again and again, yeah. And then what happens, your storage is full but no one is ordering, yeah. So to avoid these gaps, yeah, control about your numbers is pretty much the most important key that every founder should have in these days.
Very good. That's extremely wise. So you're saying that it might be a one-time hassle, it might take several weeks, but
Yeah.
All of these successful businesses that get past a certain point do it. And then on the other side of that, then you'll have a lot more control, and you'll know what paths to avoid and which ones to pursue. And it seems like those sometimes might be counterintuitive, right? Like I have a client that did something similar to this and like set up
Mhm.
the real-time stats and gets a daily report of all these numbers. And there was something where like he had all these different SKUs and someone wanted like a bundle, and
Mhm.
on the surface it looked like a good idea, right? Like, oh, we bundle all this stuff, it's a higher price. But then when they looked at just like the existing customers, he was like, if we sell this, we'll lose money, it will be a
Yeah.
decline. But you would never know it unless you did what you said. You ran the numbers and you said, okay, well, here's our profit, our revenue, our inventory, and if we do this, like how will that change the math equation versus just winging it and doing it randomly? And you say that it's a little confusing because some business owners maybe have lucked into success, but you're
Yeah.
saying that with the randomness of life, and especially as fast as the e-commerce goes, your luck will run out if you don't have these numbers figured out.
That's correct. So because I mean, to be completely honest, it's really simple to scale a brand to seven figures, to low seven figures. To scale a brand to 1 up to 5 million is not really hard. Yeah. After that, yeah, the hard work is started. But if you just do these mistakes in the beginning, yeah, you will not be able to keep the speed and pace and execution that you need for growing effectively on e-commerce brands. Yeah, brands which grow from 5 to 50 million, they don't grow because they do better marketing, or they do like just have more presence on omni channels. Yeah, they first of all do the groundwork, which is allowing them to do all of these things, right? I cannot just start to do ads or promotion or whatever on a new channel if I don't have the budget for it. But if I'm not aware that I don't have the budget for it, so what I do is that I'm just unprofitable from the first second on. Yeah, and need to maybe backpedal later and just stop this channel. And what I did, I just put a lot of money, energy, and also a lot of manpower maybe in a channel which was never had the chance to be profitable for me.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I like that a lot. That it's what a concept that your some of these like so-called boring tasks to build a better
Yeah,
foundation can allow you to take the calculated risks, or to know like what to increase and increase the ad spend and increase focus on other areas. It's a great kind of insight. And so when we were talking about your company, which is Harucon Ventures, I think we
correct,
mentioned something like you partner with them, right? Or did I understand that like your revenue model is kind of different than what we normally see?
correct, correct.
So what's that like?
So I mean, I call it, maybe it's a bit arrogant to say that, but I call it like marketing for adults. Yeah, because I'm not a big friend of this partnerships where you just get a high retainer and you are not really into generating results, and you just don't see any benefits from that, right? We are usually go in really performance oriented partnerships. So that means that based on the performance we are generating, yeah, we just get a chunk of maybe shares on an exit, maybe based on revenue or based on profit. That depends for sure on the model. Yeah, but we usually are not cheap. Yeah, or better to say we are damn expensive if we generate great results. And yeah, that's why we take this risk over, because when I do a due diligence on the finance side and the marketing side, I'm pretty much really based on the market size for sure. I'm pretty much aware what we can just generate within the next 3 or 6 months. Yeah, and then I just calculate, okay, which kind of pricing or which kind of model would be make sense here, because we could get XYZ results within this time period.
Very cool. Well, I guess that means you practice what you preach, right? You say that you're real good about the numbers, the metrics, and knowing
Yeah,
if the risk makes sense in any business. And then you say, well, as far as you partnering with someone, similar idea, right? You say, well, if you can
correct.
make the math work where like you're making more money as a result of your kind of partnership versus the fixed fee, then that's something that you've calculated and you figured out. So you told us about some of these things to avoid, such as, or to like fix in the business, right? You said get the teams gelling better and get the metrics figured out, and so that way, no matter what your e-commerce brand is. You kind of know what decisions to make to get to that $1 to $5 million point. As far as like these companies that you've partnered with, do you have any fun success stories? Like anything where it's worked out really well?
I mean, there is one story which is basically my favorite story, and I'm really proud of that. Is that we was working together with a business from the United States, and that is a massive business. They doing like 10 million a month. Yeah, so they're really really big. Yeah, but they're operating in on different continents, on different countries: U.S., U.K., Germany, Europe overall. So they have a lot of markets that are working well for them. Yeah, they have also a huge product portfolio. So they have over 25,000 products. Yeah, it's a big retailer, you could say. Yeah, but they only sell their own products, so they are not a retailer overall. Their margins are pretty solid. We came in, and the first thing that we just really see is that there is so much more way to improve uh, until the product is reaching the customer. So let me tell you why. Because these guys was buying products. They have fulfillment centers in the US, in the UK, whatever. Yeah. So and what happens is products are coming, yeah, from China, from other countries. Then they get packed, yeah, in packages, and then they got sold, just shipped to customer. Yeah. And the first thing that we just really did is and said like, hey guys, why you are not just already put the products into the package when they are soon to arrive in China, India, whatever, right? And they was like, why we should do that? Because you save at least like 15% of the costs that you just pay for pick packing in Europe or in the US. And they were, oh, no one is just telling us about that. And I was like, okay, let us do that. So it maybe sounds not much, but it was like 9% overall in fulfillment costs that we saved. And if you just do 10 million and save 9% of your fulfillment cost on a monthly basis, that's insane. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was basically the first thing. The
Yeah.
second thing that we did is we just radically, really aggressively cut down the marketing spend, because I saw that this brand was a really big brand. Yeah, on their Google end, they was only running for brand. Yeah, there was so much things that was really messed up in their account. There was no separation between branded and prospecting traffic. Their meta ads was really messed up. So there was a bunch of things that was really messed up. And only with getting structure and clearing that, we reduced the marketing spend by 20 or 25%, but we increased the revenue by pretty much the same amount. Yeah. So, and when we was talking with these guys, I mean, they both are the founder team are two brothers, and they are really cool actually. So like, guys, I still not really understand what you did, even if you are just report really detailed what you did. But I just need to say thank you, and how we can just move forward and work together longer. Yeah, that was pretty much their first statement after a 6-month pilot. Because I mean, when you do 10 million on a monthly basis, the pilot phase is usually going longer than usual, right? I mean, usually a pilot phase on our end goes 2 up to 3 months. But if an client is that big, and for sure, if there are so many things that needs to fix, also for our safety, we do longer pilot phases because it's better for both sides. It also happens sometimes that we are just moving out because we see that something isn't working. But yeah, what happens was really simple. We cut down the marketing costs. We fixed pretty much the supply chain and a bit stuff on the on the production end. Yeah, and we cut the costs by a lot, and also the marketing spent by a pretty significant amount, but we just generate more revenue. Yeah. And there was like, okay, what are the next steps? And that's something I'm just really proud of, because to say like, hey, I pushed more marketing budget in something and get better results, that is much easier, in my opinion, to say I cut the costs, but we did more. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the problem solving, the systems thinking, right? You said, well, I cleaned up the mess. I turned some chaos into order. I took out some steps. I fixed up the ad budget. It's like, these are all things that maybe a business that's growing but struggling but doesn't know why perhaps needs you and your team to figure some of these things out and do the deep thinking and the kind of the recurring looking at the problem and finding new approaches. And so it's been quite an education speaking to you so far. And in these final minutes of our conversation, do you think there might be a missing question that I should be asking you? I just don't know to ask you.
Oh, great question. Honestly, I think the most important thing that I always asking someone is like, did you ever ask someone who is in a marketing space what he think about himself? So
About
because that's
yourself?
something maybe, yeah, about myself as example.
I'm not sure I've
This
asked
is
that.
something that is really funny that I figured out. If you just ask a marketer or let us say an finance guy about what he thinks about himself, yeah, there's um two options that they get. So the first person is just talking a lot about himself and just maybe say like I do this or that, or there's the quiet guy which is always criticizing himself. And what I see is if you have someone who just always says like, "Hey, I could do this better, or I should do that better, but I'm not, but I'm okay in this." Yeah. So someone who is just really humble. Yeah. That's actually the greatest persons I ever met. Every person that I hired over the last 10 years, yeah, if there is a humbled guy, there is much more behind it. But if I hear someone who's really self-confident and I'm the best, I'm doing the greatest things, you will see so much more revenue when you just yeah, working with me together never work. So
Interesting.
what I would always say, like, ask the people what they think about themselves.
Very good. And if it's a humble,
Maybe sounds
nuanced
weird, but works
answer,
great.
that's what you want as far as the hiring. That's great. Well, wonderful. And so we want to send people to, oh, your video fell off for a second. We want to send people to
Yeah.
haraconventures.com to take the next step so they can get a growth partner for their ambitious e-commerce brand and get predictable profitability, not just more clicks. So can you tell us about what's these next steps here? If someone goes and wants to go to this website and contact you and make, get a conversation started, what's that all about?
So, I mean, there's two ways. You can just contact me over LinkedIn. I'm really active on LinkedIn. Can consume maybe a bit of my free content that I share every day. Yeah. Sharing tools and ways and hacks that I use for my own work with my team. Or you just, yeah, go over our website and ask for a request. So usually how we start is really simple. We have a call and where we just meet each other, see how the vibe is. Yeah, if the vibe is great, we usually do an audience. So we just check the finance side, we check the marketing side, and if we see there's a good potential, you get a really detailed audit from our end for retention marketing and also performance marketing overall. Yeah, we show you pretty much what we should just change, how we would change it, and what kind of revenues you could expect from these changes. Yeah, and if both sides are fine and we see a lot of potential in the brand, we usually offer to work together. That's how we work.
Very cool. Very nice. Well, to check out those daily posts on LinkedIn, that's Cem Atik, CEM, last name ATIK, and then that website, haruconventures.com. And if you're like me and you're like, oh, it's not in English, Sem told me you go to the top right corner and you click on GB for Great Britain and it changes it to English. That way you can still read and understand what's right there. And so thank you so much, Mr. Sem, for showing up and stopping by and educating us. But for these last final seconds, it's time for the scary part of the show where I try to stump you. I try to put you on the spot by asking you about a fun or interesting quote or lesson that has served you. So what comes to mind as far as a fun or interesting quote or lesson?
Whew. There are so many every day, so it's a bit hard to just think the best one. I think I just mentioned about that earlier. The funniest thing is also the most chaotic thing. If you have control over one thing, which is your numbers, you can be chaotic in everything else that you do, and you will still succeed when your pace and execution speed is really great. That's always what I see. Yeah, I see so many funny people. I meet so many funny people. They have no clue about what they're doing, but they do something, figure out that it's not working, and move to the next one. And these guys are always with it. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's not really funny, but I think it's a fun fact because a lot of people are just overthinking things too long and never start, yeah, instead of doing it and see if it's working and move to the next over if it's not working.
Yeah, that's amazing, and that helps so much with the decisions, right? What do
Yeah.
I give up, and what do I double down on? And you say the foundation is figuring out those numbers, and so it's you're really blowing my mind today and giving us some wonderful, amazing advice. So that's Cem Atik on LinkedIn, CEMATIK, and then Harucon-ventures.com. That's HARUCON-ventures.com. So if you have any of these problems we've been discussing today, if you have agency fatigue without real progress, if you have lack of data transparency, meaning you see revenue but not profit, if there's no unified growth system, if your market is too competitive, all these things and more, then you need to go to Heracon-ventures.com and or follow Cem Atik on LinkedIn and get some of these problems figured out. That way you can get to that next step. And thanks so much, Mr. Cem Atik, for showing up, stopping by, and for just giving us a brand new perspective. I'm very grateful.
Thank you for your time, Robert. Really enjoyed the time with you guys together and hope I was able to help at least a bit.